standardization to make sense. Because it doesn't make sense to buy 2 telephones from Ericsson, place one phone in your friend's home and the other at your own, and you can phone your friend, but nobody else. That makes no sense for telephony. You need standardization. And with the global telephony standards we have today, we also have gained the economies of scales that have given us smartphones at the price points that we have today, which in turn has made India the 2nd largest smartphone market today already, which is a good thing. And as you probably know, Ericsson no longer sells phones, but we still sell network equipment, so we're still in the same business of developing this type of technology. We also, like Intel, make large investments. We invest billions of US dollars per year in R&D. We've been in mobile telephony throughout the generations, 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, and we're now doing 5G. And during this development, we've gone from 1G phones that handled voice, and only voice, to what we have today with 4G, where we can stream video. We've also seen large differences in size and hardware, in that, for instance, my father-in-law had a 1G phone, and he had it in his car. And it really took a car to move that thing around. You didn't want to carry it with you. Whereas already with 2G, we were down to sizes that you could put in a shirt pocket. 3G and 4G brought higher data speeds. Therefore, we wanted larger screens. So we blew up the hardware again. So we now don't have the really small ones. We're carrying around larger ones because we want to utilize the data rates to watch video, for instance. But within that development span, if you look at a 4G phone, we have, for instance, had problems with dropped calls. And tying on to what my colleague here on the panel said about patentable inventions for hardware and software, if you consider a phone of a particular nature that does drop calls in the network, which at that point is what it is, if you can make clever inventions, which indeed we have done, not only Ericsson but other companies also, you can make clever inventions that enable the phone not to be dropped and the network not to drop the phone call so often. It seems odd to me that such an invention should not be patentable. And that kind of an invention is entirely possible to do without changing the hardware. So I would agree with my colleague there. I thought you had a good analogy also, the brain and idea thing. So going back to the use of patents then in our business, to us, like I said, patents are a way of sharing technology. It's a little bit like the deed of a house. If you build a house and you own the house because you built it, you can rent it to others. But unlike building a house, or unlike patents in other fields, in our field, we commit to rent the house, if you will, or we commit to give us access to the patents. And we do this in the form of a contract that we strike with a standards development organization, where we say we commit to be prepared to offer licenses, to grant licenses to other people who want to use this technology. Third parties can benefit from that contract within the scope of the contract. And so you might say that in this field, patenting is sort of self-regulated, so that there is access ensured, and people are not excluded from this market. And I think the notion that we now have way more than 1.5 billion people in this world who have a mobile phone subscription but no bank account, and therefore can do business from wherever they are, even though they don't have a bank account. To me, that speaks to the comparative success of this self-regulation. One more aspect of this is that these standards are so detailed, they're so detailedly described in the specifications, and the specifications are openly available on the web to anyone, that anyone can come in and compete with us. Once we create this technology, we let anyone come in instantly, so there's very little head start for us in manufacturing our base stations according to that standard that we develop. Anyone else can come in more or less at the same time and compete with us, which has driven a tremendous competition in the market, not only for base stations, but certainly also for handsets. You've got more than 400 manufacturers of handsets these days. It's really, really huge competition in this market. And from an Ericsson perspective, we really create our competitors. When we develop the standard, we lay it open on the net, we create our competitors. So the patent licensing that enables this is incredibly important for us. And since our technology, which is in the network, which talks to the handset, the technology is also in all the handsets. So Ericsson technology is in all the handsets. So going back to that contract that we have with the FDO, which is so important, which regulates all of this, that contract has two objectives. One is to make sure that the technology can be deployed, that you can give access to anybody, that you don't exclude. And the other, equally important, is that we are given an adequate reward for the use of the technology we created. And at the end of the day, we have a mutual need. The two sides in this equation have a mutual need. Because if you take Ericsson technology out of the handset, it'll be in permanent flight mode. But if there are no handsets in the hands of consumers, no operator will buy our base stations. So we have a mutual need, mutual wish, a mutual objective to make this work. And patents really is the instrument of making this run smoothly. And they enable this worldwide cooperation that in turn enables communication worldwide. And communication